Well, here we are. We're on day 146 of our journey through the Bible, Route 66, all the way through the Bible. We're in Nehemiah. Nehemiah, the storyline is, if you've read it, yesterday's reading, Nehemiah got permission to go rebuild the walls of Jerusalem to protect the people and protect the temple. He's already started building the walls, and we're going to read 3 chapters, 4, 5, and 6 today. Chapter 4, as Nehemiah is getting the building going, some of the enemies are mocking him, and they threaten the builders. So Nehemiah arms the people. They have a shovel in one hand and a sword in the other hand, and they have to battle and build, battle and build. And he encourages them to keep working, to keep going, even though there's enemies, even though there's threats on your life. Keep doing. Chapter 5, Nehemiah confronts some of the wealthy Jews. There was the Jews that were there, and they were wealthy, and they were doing really good, and they were exploiting the poor people, demanding some things from them, and Nehemiah confronted them. They repented. The community was restored, and everything was fine. So we find out here in the building process, there's enemies that are trying to stop the work. There's Jews that are doing wrong things that end up they have to stop to take care of inner problems. And then in chapter 6, there continues to be some distractions. They're intimidating him. Anything they can do to get the work to stop, focusing on something else. But Nehemiah refuses to stop the work. There's a good work that I've got to do. I'm not going to stop until I'm finished. And he finishes the wall. So some lessons that we can learn from this. This is a wall, okay? This isn't the temple where they're going to worship, but this is a wall of protection. But some lessons that we can learn. When we do what God wants us to do, we are going to face opposition. But when you face opposition, stay focused and fight the spiritual battles with faith and perseverance. Do what God wants you to do, and you are going to face some opposition from the enemy, from the people that are against what God wants to happen. But realize this, just like in chapter 5, there's going to be some inner problems sometimes. That sometimes you have to almost pause the work and confront some things that aren't right, but you got to get your mind back on what you're here for. It's so easy to get distracted, and all of a sudden you get going in a different direction. Do what God wants. Lead people with compassion, with character, with integrity. Do the right thing and confront sin and help people out. And stay committed to the calling of God. No matter what the distractions are, whether they're outside, whether they're inside, whether they're with people that aren't God's people, whether they're with God's people, don't get distracted or derailed from doing what God wants you to do. Finish the work. The big thing God has called you and I to, just to remind you, in this world, is to go into all the world and share the gospel. That's the big job that we have. Once we become believers in Jesus Christ, the big thing he wants us to do is share that with other people. And how many times are we distracted? We get out of focus. We have so many other things to do. Stay centered and do what God wants you to do. Share the gospel with other people. I encourage you to read this with that in mind. As Nehemiah finished the work,